I was watching a local government meeting last week and I heard some things that made my jaw drop. Our elected officials were describing new electric vehicle charging equipment as spooky. I also heard citizens were worried about noisy chargers. And one person even claimed that electricity rates are as volatile as gasoline prices.
Spooky charging equipment? Noisy electric vehicles, and they actually think that electricity prices are as volatile as gasoline? You know, that sounds like a very classic case of EV bunk to me. Here you go, Landon. I think you're going to need this more than I do.
Oh. Yeah, thanks for the logo, Jim. I'll take good care of your intellectual property and return it as soon as the bunk is blasted. Now, back to the meeting. See, I track Walmart EV Charging's DC fast charging network rollout across the country. Through permitting alone, over 250 locations have been spotted thanks to our active community of permit spotters. Now, if you want to know when a permit for Walmart EV charging is spotted in your area, click subscribe and join in on the fun. The location I'm speaking of today, which I won't name right now, held a meeting and discussion of all things Walmart. Sometimes I have to find what I am looking for in city council meetings instead of permit databases. And what I saw in this meeting was a real wake-up call. While so many of us are enjoying the perks of driving electric, there's a massive conversation we're not having with our community leaders, it would seem. Now, I want to make this perfectly clear. This video is not about pointing fingers or putting anyone down who does not know what we as EV drivers know. This is about a knowledge gap. And if we, the EV community, want to see charging infrastructure grow, it's incumbent upon us to fill that gap. This video is our game plan for how to replace fear with facts and get our towns and cities plugged in to an electric future. Plus, number 3 is going to reveal an intriguing intent by Walmart EV Charging that I have only come across in this town, and it's something many EV drivers have been asking for.
The electric vehicle chargers, don't they require a transformer and other attachments to operate? Does that require a separate building permit from the building department? They have that transformer I have seen over near Gibson's Wholesale on Stanford Parkway. I think it's a Benny's drive-through over there. You know, there are 2 gigantic boxes that, I don't know what's in them, but they really look kind of spooky, wouldn't you say?
All right, let's talk about that word we just heard, spooky. We're talking about EV chargers here, and somehow the word spooky came up in a city council meeting in small town USA. But here's the thing, it reveals something real. People are genuinely nervous about these big, unfamiliar electrical boxes showing up in their neighborhoods. Now picture this. You're a city council member and a developer drops a new proposal on your desk for a charging station. You're not just seeing a convenient place to plug in a car. You're visualizing hulking gray utility cabinets, industrial transformers, a tangle of conduit and cables, and worse, you're hearing from your worried residents asking, is this thing safe? Will it ruin our streets? Should my kids stay away from it? Now, that anxiety, it's completely understandable, but it's also completely unfounded. Let's demystify this right now. Those transformers that the councilman is worried about, they're the exact same utility hardware that's been safely powering our homes, our schools, and our hospitals for over a century. Same tech, same principles, they just step high voltage down to something safe and usable. Nothing exotic, nothing experimental, just proven, boring infrastructure doing its job. Now, every piece of public EV charging equipment that you see out there has been put through the ringer, safety-wise. We're talking UL certification, which means the same rigorous independent testing your toaster, your television, your phone charger have all passed. These units are engineered to survive rain, snow, heat, complete weatherproofing. They have ground fault protection that cuts power instantly if there's a problem. Automatic shutoffs if anything goes sideways or in place as well. Remote monitoring systems watch for issues 24/7, 365. This isn't Trust us, bro technology. This is prove it or don't sell it technology. But what about electromagnetic fields? Isn't that radiation or something? Fair question. Here's what the research actually shows. Electromagnetic fields from EVs and their chargers are comparable to or often lower than your microwave, your hair dryer, even your laptop. We're talking about the same everyday exposure levels you've been safely living with your entire life. No established health risk, just physics doing normal physics things. Look, fear of the unknown is powerful. It's human nature, but the facts about EV charging infrastructure are honestly kind of boring. And that's exactly the point. It's certified, standardized, predictable, safe. So when you're talking to city officials and you can't just wave your hand and say, trust me, bro, it's fine, you need to show them why. Bring photos of sleek, modern charging stations that actually enhance their surroundings, not clunky industrial eyesores that glow green. The acronyms also matter. UL listings, NFPA standards, show them stations already working beautifully in communities just like theirs. Let's take the spooky out of the equation. This is standardized, safety tested, thoroughly regulated equipment. The same engineering principles that keep the lights on in every building in America. The unknown becomes a lot less scary when you shine a light on it. The bunk that EV charging infrastructure is some alien technology that should send a shiver down our spine is busted.
Yes, I live 10 yards away from the Walmart on which this is being proposed. When we were presented with this information, EV chargers were never mentioned. Now, if you are telling me that EV chargers do not require a variance from you, that's one thing. However, I, as a member of the surrounding neighborhood, represent a number of people who do not want to see the additional traffic in the area, and we especially do not wish to hear the additional noise that electric vehicles and their chargers bring.
The second big fear that came up in the meeting was noisy chargers. This one's pretty common. People imagine a constant loud humming sound ruining their neighborhood's peace and quiet, especially at night. It's an understandable worry, but it's based on a total misconception. Here's the truth. When an EV is parked, it is completely silent. And when it's charging, the sound is almost always a non-issue. Your standard level 2 charger, the kind you see in a parking garage or an office park, operates in silence. There might be a few older ones out there with a low hum, but that's rare and I've never encountered one myself. Now it's true that DC fast chargers, the super-powered units Walmart EV Charging is installing, can have some internal cooling fans that make some noise. But even these are designed to be as quiet as possible. In fact, Alpitronic took great lengths to make sure their hypercharger HYC400 units operate as quietly as possible. One of the underrated perks of their silicon carbide rectifiers is they make 23% less noise than the previous implementation of the rectifier. See, Alpitronic is not new to stringent noise pollution laws. To meet the requirements of European countries, their HYC400 units are never louder than 52 decibels. What are some other occurrences that happen at 52 decibels? A quiet conversation, a refrigerator. How about even a modern dishwasher? Even leaves rustling in the breeze average 52 decibels. The noise from the units that Walmart EV Charging is installing is minuscule compared to the common noise you hear in most commercially zoned areas. Plus, the noise from the road this Walmart sits on can range from 55 decibels in light traffic to 70 decibels in heavy traffic. All well above the noise level of these DC fast chargers. So safe to say, any noise that might be created by these chargers will be drowned out by the noise of the surrounding area. Now let's hold on for just a minute here, because I can already hear the comment section getting ready to hit me with, okay, but EVs themselves, they make noise when charging too. Yes, that is absolutely correct. However, there are rare, and I mean rare, instances in which some EVs, typically the older ones, they can reach noise levels around 65 decibels. 65 decibels is the volume at which I'm speaking right now. Again, remember the context though. In a Walmart parking lot with a 4-lane road nearby and on the opposite side of the property of the neighborhood, this noise is drowned out before it reaches the ears of any resident. The noise of the battery and cooling system is directly related to the ambient temperature. Now, when most people in the neighborhood would be home, the evenings and at night, this is when ambient temperatures should keep that noise pretty minimal, well below 65 decibels. In my own experience, the noise from the cooling system of my Blazer EV is not even noticeable just the next aisle over at Walmart, and that's when it's fully ripping. Oh, and by the way, the entire time I've been filming this, I have an air purifier in here, and it runs at 60 decibels. Never even heard it. So from every angle, the bunk that EVs are noisy while charging is blasted.
The existing sign is lit from within, but it does not have an animated feature to it. That's the relief that is being requested. This is only for the ease of changing the advertised price on the EV chargers. They want to present to their customers before they enter the location what the price of the EV charging is. Because I don't own an EV, so I don't know what the rates are, if that one rate is better than another. But people who own EVs, I'm sure they know how this works. I believe that, like what we see with gasoline, the rates for EV charging change from day to day, and the animated sign is necessary to advertise that.
One of the stickiest myths out there is that the cost of charging an EV is going to be just as unpredictable as the price of gas. We've all been there watching gas prices jump 30 cents overnight because of something happening halfway around the world. Heck, in the summer of 2022, I watched my local gas prices jump by $2 per gallon over the course of a few days. It's natural for people to assume that electricity for cars will be just as volatile because we are accustomed to the volatility of the price of gasoline. But that is fundamentally wrong. Electricity prices are dramatically more stable than gasoline prices. The cost of electricity is regulated locally and is based on long-term infrastructure and production costs, not the daily whims of a global commodity market. For the vast majority of EV drivers who do over 80% of their charging at home, the cost is as predictable as their monthly utility bill. With smart planning, like using time of use rates, many drivers can charge for the equivalent of less than $1 per gallon. Public charging is also more stable. Drivers can see the exact price of their charge on an app before they even plug in. Nevertheless, at this location, Walmart EV charging appears to be going one step further by installing an electronic sign displaying the price to charge. This is something that drivers have been wanting to see for a long time. It makes them feel welcome along with their gasoline counterparts. Is a new sign displaying this price totally necessary? Likely not, seeing that we have made it this long and a majority of EV drivers have been using chargers that don't even have a screen. Yet, they know the price and they plug in. It's also not entirely necessary because the price to charge is extremely stable compared to gasoline. But there is a case to be made that EV charging locations should use signs because there is one element of the charging price that can be predictably volatile: time of use pricing. See, unlike gasoline, EV drivers can get a discounted rate on their charge depending on when they plug in. Walmart EV charging has been using this price structure at some of its locations already. EV drivers are saving somewhere between 10 and 20 cents per kilowatt hour by charging between 11 p.m. and 8 a.m. The addition of this sign would make that information crystal clear for EV drivers. So the digital sign, it has nothing to do with displaying a price that fluctuates like the price of gasoline. It has everything to do with giving EV drivers a better experience and eliminating any guesswork that may be involved with time of use pricing. I personally hope they look to expand the digital sign usage elsewhere. Okay, so busting myths, that's pretty fun. Jim, I get why you like this series so much. It's a lot of fun. But being right, it isn't just enough. We need to be strategic. So here's a 3-step approach for actually getting results. Step 1, make it personal and make it practical. Your elected officials get dozens of emails a week about every issue imaginable. What actually gets their attention is a constituent with a specific, relatable concern. Maybe request a brief meeting or send a direct email, but keep it focused. Share your experience and tie it to the things that they care about, like household budgets, local economic development, constituent services. For example, I've saved about $150 per month on fuel and maintenance since switching to an EV. With gas prices tied to thousands of factors and the majority being beyond the country's borders, that matters to families in our district. This can be a way to keep fuel savings in the hands of citizens who in turn keep those savings in the local economy. If possible, maybe offer a quick demonstration. A short test drive can answer their questions faster than any fact sheet. It worked for me when I rented a Ford Mustang Mach-E in Miami. Now I'm an EV driver and don't look to be going back anytime soon. Just be realistic. This works better with some officials than others, and many just won't have the time. That's fine. The personal email does still matter, though. Step 2. Provide local specific information. Officials and their staff are overwhelmed. If you want to be useful, make it easy for them. Put together a simple one-pager summary with relevant data, safety records, noise levels, what your local utility is actually planning for EV adoption. The key is making it local. Don't send national statistics when you can reference your town's grid capacity or utility rates. Talk about economic benefits that they can use. Public chargers can increase foot traffic to local businesses, and infrastructure projects means work for local contractors and electricians. Be honest about the challenges too. Acknowledging upfront costs or grid concerns shows you understand the real constraints they're working with. When you frame this as something that creates jobs and supports local businesses, you are speaking their language. Step 3. Help them navigate the process. The biggest barrier to action is often inertia. If you can reduce the friction, you increase the odds of movement. Consider organizing a low-key opportunity for decision makers to see EVs firsthand. Maybe partner with a local dealer or something. But don't oversell it. Some officials just won't be interested, and some of them will be interested. That's normal. But more importantly, answer the question they're actually asking. How is this being paid for? In the case of Walmart EV charging, point out this is a private industry venture. Public funds are not a part of this and offer zero liability to the local government. With the political headwinds of the current day for EVs and EV charging, they may rightfully have reservations about funding. But make clear the funding is from private enterprise, and it may prove genuinely helpful for you. Acknowledging there may be challenges in EV charging infrastructure while clearly pointing out that those will fall squarely on Walmart EV charging to take care of, well, that will take away any burden local officials may pick up and place it on the overqualified team at Walmart, who are prepared for these challenges. So the gap between the reality of electric vehicles and how they're perceived in our local governments is real. Those fears about spooky transformers and noisy chargers, they could hold back local communities. But we, the people driving these cars every single day, we have the power to close that gap. It takes a smart, respectful strategy. It starts with empathy, understanding where the fears come from, and follows with clear factual education. It's about building personal relationships, providing local data that highlights economic wins, and being a genuine partner in finding solutions. This isn't someone else's job. It's ours. By replacing myths with facts, we can empower our leaders to make the informed choices that will build a cleaner, quieter, and more prosperous future for everyone. Now, if you're willing and able to be that voice when Walmart EV charging comes knocking, click subscribe to know when you're up to bat. And I would love to hear your stories in the future if you engage with this democratic process. Hey, thanks to Jim for stopping by and sharing the fun of EV bunk blasting. I look forward to seeing what the future holds for local communities as this project with Walmart EV charging continues to grow. I'm Landon. Thanks for watching, and happy trails.